Hello. I'm debating, okay, because, like, no, I'm not going to restart the chapter. I feel like I'm just going to leave it where it was. I, like, know where we were, but we'll just leave it at that and go from there. Dude, I had a shooting pain in my stomach, and it, like, shot all the way down to my foot, and I actually almost just collapsed. Like, that, just before I started stream, I was like, what? I think I just died. Also, hello. Do. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was like standing here and I like collapsed onto the ground because it like hit and then went all the way down into like my foot, and I was like, cool. Other than that, how y'all doing? How's everybody else? Hello. I'm doing good, doing great. No, I'll be okay. I don't know what it was. I don't know, but we should be okay. Which is nice. Okay, so I'm not gonna restart the chapter. I'm probably just gonna leave it where it was, and then just continue reading from there. Mainly because I was like literally 3 pages done, and then the chapter is gonna be done. So I don't want to restart it. But we'll leave it at that. Okay, so starting off, I'll start the page again though. What a huge reversal. Klein couldn't help but twitch the corners of his lips. When he noticed that Willa Septon wasn't speaking any further, he hurriedly smiled and said, "There's another question about your placenta blood." Oh, right, okay. Before he could finish the sentence, Will suddenly opened his mouth and let out a cry. He began wailing like a real infant. "Can we talk normally?" Klein froze in his spot. If he hadn't already confirmed it, he really would have suspected whether the entire entity before him was a Sequence 1, the president of the Lake School of Thought. All right. I just wanted to ask if the blood of mythical creatures," Klein said as he raised his hands midway, will stop crying. Will stopped crying and said with a laugh, "Of course, but I'll swap it ahead of time, otherwise everyone will die on the spot." He paused for a moment before saying, "If you can give me some substitute, it's not impossible to give you one drop. All right, goodbye." Just as Will Septon said that, Klein felt the steeple shakes of his dream rapidly shatter. Soon he woke up. Yeah, like I had a page and a half before it cut out yesterday. Oh my god, struggling. Okay, chapter 771. Ow. Fate Saga. What item would Snake of Fate be interested in? Klein slowly sat up and leaned against the pillow. He thought for some time and decided to consider it at a later date. After all, he was still at least a month away from Willa Septon's birth. Don't mention it. If we don't mention it, it won't arrive. There you go, message. Literally, don't say that. After all, he was still at least a month away from Willa Septon's birth. He couldn't leave a question for the Hermit Catley and the Queen Mystic Bernadette, who was backing her, to rack their brains over. Of course, Klein didn't eliminate the possibility of Willa Septon's sudden choice of having an early birth. He slowly turned his attention into creating a worm of time charm. According to Willa Septon's explanation, he had most of the conditions required, but he was just short of the corresponding symbol. Pray to the fool and use the powers of the mysterious space above the great fog. I wonder if a symbol corresponding to the marauder pathway would work, even if it does. I don't know what it is unless I pull the marauder above the great fog and let the high back chair produce a corresponding pattern. As Klein thought about the details, he suddenly had an idea. In that case, perhaps he could try the symbol behind the fool's chair. It was a pupil's eye, a symbol representing concealment, and the contorted lines of represented change. Do you build the boat with other people, or are you just building the boat by yourself? Or is it like a project between people? I look like a crunchy almond mom? Okay. You know what? It's better than a couple other things you guys have said I look like, so I'll take it. I wonder if it will work. Divination won't be able to rule out by elimination, but I can predict if that attempt will be successful. Besides, even if it fails, it shouldn't be too big of a problem. After all, I'm praying to myself. Even if the material were to be wasted in the experience, I would enter above the grey fog and not be lost. With this in mind, Klein felt pumped. He couldn't help but get out of bed and try out the experiment that very night. A material like the worm of time that's left behind by the mortar demigod of Amon's level still has its essence in the level even if it's dead. When using it for a charm, it might not reach the level of the angel for various reasons, but it wouldn't be too far off. It'll be able to peak strength of a saint. If Klein succeeded, it would be the equivalent of having an additional trump card. At critical points in time, it might give him an additional life, so how could he not be excited and expectant? Someone when she's there. I can only stir some of the powers of the mysterious space above the great fog. The level of the worm of time charm will likely drop a little more, but regardless, it will definitely be like the ninth law given to me by Admiral Amorous. If I use the blasphemer aura to create a high level charm in the devil domain, it will likely be the level of the ninth law. Unfortunately, I wouldn't dare pry into the dark sides of the universe. Klein wore his pajamas as he stood barefoot. He walked and took 4 steps counterclockwise on a thick carpet as he chanted the incantation before entering above the grey fog. Sitting at the fool's seat at the end of the long bronze table, he conjured a dark red fountain pen with yellowish-brown goat skin. He wrote down the corresponding divination. The charm I'm about to begin will be a success. It's a little boat club. Unwinding the spirit pendulum from his wrist, Klein held it with his left hand and entered the state of cognition. After repeating the divination statement 7 times, he opened his eyes and saw the topaz spinning counterclockwise as a rather slow speed and ordinary amplitude. This means that it will succeed, but that begs the question, will it successfully verify that the symbol I use is effective, or successfully verify that it doesn't work? As an experienced seer, Klein attempted to interpret the revelation, but he failed to obtain any confirmation. With regards to that, he could only decide to experiment. There was no way for him to eliminate the mistake if he didn't do so. Right on the heels of that, Klein wrote down a new divination statement. The assassination of Mr. X this Friday will be dangerous. This time, the topaz pendant continued spinning clockwise at a faster frequency and greater amplitude. There's a significant danger, but it doesn't reach the level of demigod participation, much less than of the King of Angels. If it involves an existence of the level, he will definitely sense my divination and resist it. From the looks of it, Angel Fate Ouroboros will soon be let out of Backland. This means that the danger itself is a result of Mr. X and the subordinates. It's within the limits of what I can handle as long as I don't make the mistake. The chance of success are pretty high. Klein made a judgment, put down the pen and paper, and returned to the real world. As a mysticism expert who often created charms, he had no lack of common materials. He immediately got out some candles and lit them on the table. Following that, he set up a small altar against the glow of dusk. He then used a piece of silver to draw out the combined symbols of representing the Fool. As Klein didn't know the path number the Fool represented, or what magic labels there were, he could only ensure that both sides remained equal according to the books of the charms. He had read these would similarly satisfy the rule of mysticism, but the corresponding might be reduced. The chance of failure would rise because the existence that one was praying to could consider it as being irrelevant or not pious enough. Of course, it wasn't a problem for Klein, since he wouldn't reject himself. After completing the act of carving the symbol, Klein found a metal bottle and used his spirituality together with a container, and he then poured the mercury out and filled the carved out pattern. This time he decided to complete only the front side from now. He would then summon himself and respond to himself. He would then bring the worm with the 12 translucent rings back to the room and then place it on the silver sheet. After doing all this, Klein adjusted the altar and took 2 steps back. He then said in ancient Hermes, the fool that doesn't belong to this era. Following the process, he completed the necessary steps before taking 4 steps counterclockwise and entering the space above the great fog. After imbuing himself with the Black Emperor card, he used his spirituality to stir a tiny amount of powers above the great fog to respond to his prayers. While the surging energy poured into the circle of light, Klein didn't hesitate to return to the real world. He saw the altar had turned dark and gloomy, as though there was countless secrets hidden there, and the silver sheet had already floated up, fusing with the Worm of Time's corpse. Klein took out steps forward, flipped the silver sheet around, and he filled the carved symbol on the back with mercury. As the lines lit up, the infused and hazy luster, Klein rapidly dragged his arms and saw the luster grow richer. He then enveloped a silver sheet and the Worm of Time's corpse inside. Suddenly, the darkness around the altar distorted to the entire space, seemed to have turned abnormal. The change disappeared as fast as it came. The charms filled with strange patterns slowly landed on the desk. It was entirely translucent in color and was dark black. It was like a miniature card made out of special crystals. It also resembled the eyes of a particular existence watching this world. I recorded it, so I got a bunch of clips. I still have like a few more clips to get, so I'm gonna do a compilation of all the clips from volume 3, and then I recorded review, and I'm gonna post it both tomorrow, so we'll do that then. But I didn't forget, so that's what I have. Yeah, so I'll post them both. I can also live record in Discord, but I feel like every time I do that, you guys just roast me on the theories that I have. And here's the thing, I'm gonna prep you guys now. Some of the takes I have, I don't know if I want to have immediate reactions to them. I think I'm just gonna let them simmer, and then you guys can rip me apart for them on Monday when it's stream again. So I'm just gonna have to do that. I'll let you guys just let that sit, and we can talk about it the next day. So that's that. Regardless of the resulting effects of the charms, just its formation had meant to success. Klein had once obtained the high-level charm at the demigod level. They're not like that hot of takes, but actually, you know what? One of them is, but I'm standing by what I said. He bruised himself again, bringing the completed item above the great fog. He then used dream divination to figure out how to use it. The charm, which was the shape of black crystal cards, had only one effect, but it was highly potent. It was a siphon of luck of others, and, to be precise, it was to graft fate. Period of the target fate would be grafted onto its users. The simplest situation would be when an enemy is about to kill me. But it's like, here's the thing, without saying what they are, I think that they're not like crazy, and if you actually think about them, you'd be like, oh, that actually makes sense. It's just one of those things that you hear and you're like, pause, and that's okay. The charm, which was in the shape of black crystal card, had only one effect, but it was highly... What do you mean? Frankly's the best. Goat Lee. Okay, here's the thing. Gehrman and Daly work, though, and I'm gonna stand on this, because you guys made me feel so dumb for thinking that, when in actuality, Gehrman and Daly do kind of line up in a weird way, you know? The simplest situation would be when an enemy is about to kill me. I'll use this charm, siphoning off his fate of surviving, as well as grafting the fate of impending... David, yes! Yes, David. Impending death onto them. Then the situation would be developed into him clearly succeeding. only for him to die. It does match the marauder pathway's usual traits, but it's more sinister and terrifying. It's going from stealing wealth to stealing fate, employed in the power of mysterious spaces above the great fog. This charm might even point towards the domain of time, Klein thought as he felt a sense of fear. If it wasn't for the assistance that the mysterious space had given him by obstructing and purging things, he had no way to deal with the worm of time. Now it's mine. I can call it the worm of time anymore. I'll just call it the fate siphon. Klein once. That's so cool. Dude, I love Klein's little trinkets that he gets. Klein once again got busy as he brought back the fate siphon charm to the real world. After dealing with the traces of a ritual, he gravely placed the high-level charm onto the iron cigar case, putting it together with Azek's copper whistle and Senior's gold coin. He then sealed isolated the case with the wall of spirituality. Being in a good mood, Klein didn't feel sleepy. He drew the curtains a little and allowed the crimson moonlight to shine in, illuminating his room with tranquil and silence. While he was enjoying this serenity, he suddenly saw a figure sneak out from the members of Parliament Match's house as it approached amidst the shadows. It was none other than Hazel Match. She once again headed for the sewers, removed the manhole cover, climbed down, and didn't forget to close the cover. Why is she always heading down to the sewers? It's not likely for her to be heading to other areas to act like a superhero in the mysterious world. After all, each trip doesn't take her more than an hour unless she is very reliable, intelligent. It's difficult to achieve anything. Besides, this will make it easy for her to get caught by official beyonders. Follow together with the scene provided to me by Rhodes. I don't think it's that bad. After enjoying an evening of peace, Klein returned to the bed and slept till daybreak. Before Richardson entered, he turned into Garen Sparrow and prayed to the fool. I can accept the mission, but regardless of the outcome, I want a stone from the bracelet of yours, as well as the ability to use that spell book of yours for some time. If it succeeds, all spoils of war will be mine. You can only take the target's head. If required, you will need to provide assistance. There we go. Okay. What do you mean? What am I like? It's kind of a new camera angle. I feel like it's always pretty much the same camera angle. It's just maybe like a little bit different sometimes, but it's still pretty much the same each time. Chapter 772, Walter's Abnormality. He wants a stone for my bracelet and the right to use Leymano's travels for some time. How does he know that I have these two items? I don't remember mentioning it during the tarot gathering. After hearing Garen Sparrow's response, Forrest was bewildered and rather shocked. It felt like she had seen through all her secrets. She tensed up as she quickly tried recalling how this information could have been leaked. That's fucking diabolical. You cannot come at me for Garwin and Dally if people genuinely... Ew. 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 She tensed up as she quickly tried recalling how this information could have been leaked. Aside from Teacher Shio, and Mr. Fool, no one knows that I have these two items, especially Leymano's travels. I haven't even used it, Mr. Fool. Mr. World appears quite strange during the tarot gatherings. He never hands over Emperor Roselle's diary pages, and he doesn't seem to put any effort into this. Nor does he show any concerns. I can't think of any. I really can't. Yeah, you know what? Actually, David, you took the words right out of my mouth. That's literally it. I can't think of anything else I dislike about him, other than he's not in the book enough, um, and he's not mine, and that's it. And Cuttlefish is a bit of a coward for not following through on certain ship potentials, but I digress. Honestly, yeah, he's a man. He unfortunately is a man. As a Beyonder who seldom went out and just stayed home writing and resting, lending Lin-Manu's travels for some time. Didn't affect her safety or her need to use it, and likewise, giving one of the 2 remaining stones in the bracelets that allowed her to travel to the spirit world and cause her to lose all her trump cards. The only problem is that Mr. World seems to be willing to only try it once. If he fails, he will still take the payment, yes. With the fact that he needs to bear the risk, it's normal. I originally imagined that I would need to help him do many things to obtain the reward from teacher by using the traitor's head to repay the debt. Forrest thought calmly in a few seconds before she prayed to Mr. Fool. Please inform Mr. World that I accept his conditions, and I will try my best to provide him assistance in the operations. He originally wished to warn Garamond Sparrow that using the stone might. He originally wished to warn Garamond Sparrow that using the stone might result in side effects of receiving the ravings of the full moon, but she then realized. Oh, that's supposed to be a she. That's what it was. That it was apparently only something Beyonders from the apprentice pathway encountered. Regardless of its success or fail, I'll obtain the stone and be able to secretly leave Backlund and meet with Mr. Hangman to explore the primitive island. When time comes, I'll use the spellbook to record the usage of the stone. That way I don't have to worry about the return trip. It's useless. It's unless my luck is terrible and the recording fails. Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief, opening the door, and got Richardson to help him get dressed. Sir, after breakfast, your schedule is to head to the Royal Museum to see the royal family's collection exhibition. As Richardson helped his employer wear his coat, he informed him the day's schedule. Swain Dantes mastered social dancing very quickly. The number of etiquette classes in the morning went from 5 times a week to 3 times a week, allowing him to spare time for the other things, and such exhibitions were definitely a hot topic of conversation. In high society circles, by not going in person, it would make him appear lacking. As for heading to St. Samuel Cathedral for the bishop's preachings, Klein had consciously lowered his frequency. This wasn't because he needed to donate tens of pounds each time, but that he was afraid of heading the frequency despite having the novel period wear off would incur suspicion. I don't think so. Let me check. Let me check. I think it was just like the one thing that was playing was just playing a bunch. That would be the only thing I was thinking. Was it was just playing a bunch, but that was all I had with it really. There you go. I changed it. Klein conspicuously lowered his frequency and wasn't able to be headed to donate tens of pounds each time, but that he was afraid of heading there frequently despite having the novelty period wear off would incur suspicion, being natural and responsible, were the core traits of his plans. Other than on a Sunday, he planned on randomly heading to the church. On 2 or more remaining 6 days, he wanted to rely on an even longer period of time to accumulate intelligence so as to figure out a pattern. He couldn't be impatient or in a rush. I'm already looking forward to it. Klein looked at the dignified reflection on himself. Klein looked at the dignified reflection of himself as he said to his valet with a smile. Upon thinking of St. Samuel Cathedral and the Church of Evernight, he naturally connected it to Leonard Mitchell's secret investigation of Sherlock Moriarty. He didn't understand what he was suspicious about? Is it because of Emlyn White's purchase of Tinder that drove Leonard to investigate the people related to him, or was it because of the fleeting appearances of the detective in the case of Capim and Lenibus that made the Red Gloves who were in charge of the investigation notice something? Or could it be both? Klein thought about the clues that had been left behind and had a rough guess. He wasn't afraid that Sherlock Moriarty would be wanted by the Church of Evernight. He gave a bounty, after all. Apart from containing a few people that he was familiar with, the detective wasn't to appear again. He was worried that someone would discover that Sherlock Moriarty in his early appearances resembled Klein Moriarty greatly, and as such, they would pursue the deceased former Nighthawk. Excuse you? Me? In fact, it's not a problem even if they discover that I'm no longer the clown or magician from before. There are more than a handful of demigods searching for me. Even with the high-ranking deacons of the church, there won't be any quantitative changes. Besides, Benson and Melissa truly are ordinary people. The church will definitely not involve them and disturb their lives. I wonder if they will claim the bereavement compensation back. Probably not, for there's no way they can explain it to ordinary people. Klein wasn't that worried with all the debt he was in. This was also why he was so calm when he heard Will Septim mention Klein Moriarty's identity last night. How could a sequence-1 angel who was good at fate-related abilities and had previously interacted with Sherlock Moriarty early on not discover the detective's origins? Even with the Grey Fog's obstruction and interfered with many details, Will Septim was definitely able to know that Sherlock Moriarty originally came from Tingen, and back in Tingen, Klein had interacted with a youth named Adamasol, who was in the monster pathway, leading him to bleed from the eyes. And if Will Septim were to be aware of this and make a comparison, the answer was obvious. If Leonard were to really realize Sherlock Moriarty's hidden identity, I wonder what kind of expression he would have. Klein gave a self-deprecating laugh as he walked out of the master bedroom. He went, "Don't laugh at your wife." As he walked out of the bedroom, he went to the second floor and enjoyed the breakfast as he had prepared specially for him. Westboro to Kings Avenue Royal Museum. Klein passed through the ticket entrance of the butler, Walter and Valet Richardson, and went into the museum. The exhibition was held in the Lowen royal family and showcased all kinds of collections that had historical meanings from the kingdom's founding, so as to allow the public to enjoy it and gain an understanding. Are you guys talking about me? Standing, it was a way to raise the kingdom's citizens' respect and recognition of the royal family. As a graduate from the Department of History, Klein was still rather interested in the exhibition. Many of the matters that he was very familiar with had the corresponding items appear here. They allowed him to plunge into the long and fascinating history from another angle. What left Klein somewhat puzzled was Walter's deep understanding towards most of the exhibits. He introduced them to Rain Dantes with extreme detail. As expected of a butler who came from the aristocratic household, Klein silently nodded. As he pursued the exhibits, the trio kept encountering other visitors, and the exhibition hall was quiet and orderly, so people had to converse in whispers. When passing by the exhibit, Klein noticed Walter suddenly stop. He then glanced to his side as his expression turned complacent. As he wasn't a spectre, Klein wasn't able to interpret the actual meaning of those complicated feelings. All he could do was trace Walter's gaze towards the exhibit. Standing in front of the exhibit were a man and a woman. The man was in his 30s and wore a black suit, silk hat, and gold inlaid cane, looking like a gentleman with a status and wealth. The woman was in a yellow dress with a gold necklace. Her overall attire was inclined towards bright colors. Mr. Butler's looking at the man. Klein instantly made a judgment as he swept his gaze past the target without anyone detecting him. He realized that the man was looking rather old. His skin was dark as a result of frequent exposure to the sun. The back of his hand was like dried wool, wood, and his fingers were extremely rough. If I didn't look at his attire, I would have believed it if someone told me he was a farmer, gardener, or carriage driver. Klein attracted his gaze as he felt a little puzzled. The reason why he noticed these details were because he had seriously considered the appearance of an ordinary person who had ventured in the southern continent for extended periods of time, back when he was constructing the identity of Dwayne Dantes. It is. It's on all chat. David, I just don't think it likes you, but it's on all chat. I have to say that from the moment I became a faceless, I'm getting more and more experienced and wise in the aspects of creating a new character. If I were to return to Earth, even without my Beyonder powers, I'll still have strong acting skills. As Klein made self-deprecating comments inwardly, he saw Walter recover from his stir and look as though nothing had happened. As for the man with someone... We didn't get censored that time. As for the man with somewhat old facial features, the rough skin, he pointed at a flag inside the exhibition case. This is the flag of the Earl of Lastings, Prince Herod Augustus, used during the White Rose War. Unfortunately, he perished in the war. However, his death was the turning point of the entire war, and the reason why Lowen eventually clinched victory. Look, the flag still has his blood. Nice. He's quite knowledgeable in the field of history. Klein's gaze swept toward Walter in the corner of his eyes. Through his eyes, thought for 2 seconds, and smiled. He approached the couple and interjected a friendly manner. I never experienced such an delightful tidbit of history. History would be known by someone else. I originally believed that the people's understanding of the White Rose was only limited to Lowen's victory against Intis. Sir, your eruditeness leaves me amazed. To be praised in front of a female partner, the man's expression turned from wary one to a relaxed one. A gleeful smile appeared on his face. I'm just a person who likes history. He casually swept his gaze towards several of the gentlemen in front of him as he suddenly frowned before easing his brows. There was a remnant look of puzzlement. Indeed, he knows Butler Walter. Klein smiled while maintaining his composure. Hello there. I'm a merchant from Desi, Dwayne Dantes. How may I address you? The man hesitated and said, William Sykes, a land steward at a manor. Yippee! Yippee! Got it. Okay, chapter 773. William Sykes, land steward. Klein inwardly repeated the response he got before turning the topic of conversation towards the flag and the White Rose War. After a short chat, he politely bid farewell and walked towards the other exhibits. With Walter and Richardson, he continued his own tour of the exhibits as though his encounter from before was completely trivial, and conversation that was purely coincidental. When it was almost noon, Klein, who had returned to the high-end four-wheeled carriage, looked out at the passing bicycles when he suddenly said, Walter, you seem to know Mr. William Sykes. Walter solemnly nodded and said, I once knew him while I was working for Viscount Conrad's household. He served a member of the royal family, the former Earl of Lastings, Prince Edisac. He didn't conceal anything, and he described William Sykes' background in detail. He was once in service of Prince Edisac. He's living quite a good life after the prince passed away because of the great smog of Backlund. I wonder what manor and land steward of. Perhaps he knows some secrets. What are you guys plotting? What are you plotting? Is this plotting am I gonna know about this? Or is this plotting against me? Are you plotting on my downfall? He was once in service of Prince Edisac. Perhaps he knows some secrets. Klein gently nodded and didn't probe further. He was wondering if he should find an opportunity to investigate William Sykes. If William Sykes really knows something, the royal family function would leave him be. Or perhaps he is part of the faction. In short, investigating him will be a rather dangerous matter. There's no way to exist this matter to Miss Justice, Emmeline White, or Miss Shio. Miss Sharon has the ability to do so, but this might result in destroying their peaceful lives. The best solution is to use Hero Bandit Black Emperor, but the problem is that before stealing the Antigonus family notebook, my investigations investigations of the Great Smog of Ackland should be only superficial. I shouldn't harm anyone and bring about any accidental changes. Klein appeared to admire the streets outside, but many thoughts were going through his mind. Finally, he decided to hold back for a time, being unwilling to affect the most patient matter he had present. After having lunch and taking a nap, Klein received classes in literary anticipations until he almost evening. After sending away his teacher, he was about to head to the second-story dining hall when he suddenly heard the doorbell ring. Amidst the ringing, Klein saw Richardson immediately. I'm okay. I'm okay. No, I'm okay. Thank you for asking, though. Standing outside were two police officers in black and white checkered uniforms. From their epaulets, one of them was a high-ranking inspector while the other was a sergeant. "Officers, how may I help you?" Richardson asked on behalf of his employer. The high-ranking inspector was a thin man and had his black hair hidden under his peak cap. His sideburns were a little color as he swept his gaze onto the house before warmly saying with a smile, "I'm here for Mr. Dwayne Dantes. There's a case that involves him and his butler." "What is it?" Klein slowly walked to the door. "I'm Dwayne Dantes." After introducing himself, he asked politely, "Officers, how may I address you? If the matter is a little more complicated and needs more time, why not come to the parlor? We can discuss it over tea." The other police officer, the sergeant, was an elegant lady. She was clearly interested in taking up the offer as she looked to the high-ranking inspector, awaiting the decision of her superior. Due to the Church of Evernight Goddess, the lone police force had plenty of female officers, as they should. But due to the other face-preventing trends of society, they suffered some form of discrimination when it came to promotions and positions. Shocking. What chapter should I stop at? Is there like a specific chapter I should stop at? Because I was probably going to stop around like 7. We'll see how long it takes. Okay, I'll stop at 778. Yeah, I'll stop at 778. Do that. Finishing the book. He paused before getting to the main point. "Mr. Dwayne Dantes, do you know the person by the name of William Sykes?" "I got to know him this morning at the Royal Museum." Klein vaguely sensed some sort of unexpected development had occurred as he asked, "Did something happen to him?" The high-ranking inspector wiped away his smile as he said, "He's dead. He's dead at the hotel near the Royal Museum." "He's dead?" Klein didn't hide his puzzlement and shock. I'm not sick. I'm a little tired today, but that's about it. I'm pretty, okay. He's dead. Klein didn't hide his puzzlement and shock. "I just met him, and he's dead." Had he already been targeted? The inspector nodded solemnly and said, "Yes. The cause of death is rather complicated, and we aren't ruling out the possibility of murder." "What about the female partner?" Klein followed and asked him. "He had a female partner when I met him. The lady was his mistress. When she left the hotel, William Sykes was still alive." This can be confirmed by the attendants at the hotel because they had later sent him red wine. The inspector simply shared the situation and said, "After leaving the Royal Museum, where did you go?" "I came back here directly. I had lunch, took a nap, and attended lessons. My servants, neighbors, and literary appreciation teacher can prove that," Klein frankly replied. He then turned his head to Richardson and said, "Bring Walter here." Soon Walter walked down from the second story with a white glove and answered similar questions. After receiving Dwayne Dantes' permission, the two officers confirmed the rest of the servants, but they failed to find any problems. They didn't stay for long, politely bidding him farewell and visiting the other neighbors. Clyde's appetite wasn't affected by this matter, and he went to the second story to enjoy dinner. Time quickly flew by as he spent the rest of the time reading books and newspapers. Before sleeping, Klein took up the sensory window, Klein took in the scenery outside the window as he awaited the ballet Richardson to take away the fruits in the room. Suddenly, he asked without turning his head, what did Walter do in the afternoon? He was busy handling vicious matters. He never left, Richardson answered softly. Klein nodded gently without asking further. He began suspecting if he had overthinking matters. He slowly exhaled before getting into bed. In the middle of the night, Klein's spirituality was triggered and he snapped awake. He picked up his brows, left the bed. He picked up his brows, left the bed, and arrived by the window. He pulled back the curtains a little. Under the dim moonlight, a figure carefully passed through the garden's trails and arrived by the perimeter walls before flipping over it. He had broad forehead and raven black hair and stern brown eyes. He was none other than Butler Walter. He's agile, and his motions are fluid. If he's not trained, he's a low sequence beyonder. Klein observed the scene as he made a preliminary judgment. He saw Walter's shadow follow the streets until he arrived at a manhole which Hazel often used to enter the sewers. He removed the manhole cover, climbed down, and didn't forget to close the cover. Why is everyone so skilled at getting into sewers? Mr. Butler likely has done this in the past. Otherwise, my spirituality would have warned me. After all, he's leaving from my territory. It means that before he became my butler, he had performed such actions quite frequently elsewhere. Klein curled his lips, returned to the bedside, and took out the iron cigar case from under his pillow. He controlled Ray Sr. to tell Walter, waiting to see what he was up to. "I hope it doesn't exceed 100 meters, otherwise I'll need to enter the sewers as well." Klein suddenly muttered to himself. He returned to the gap in the curtains. His marionette senior immediately used the mysterious connection between them different mirrors to jump to the street lamps beside the manhole before passing the manhole and silently tail Walter. Klein saw that Walter turned into the more secluded and dark passage after taking 10 meters forward. On the wall there was all kinds of moss and dirt. Suddenly the butler stopped and said to someone, "Why are you so rash? Why didn't you wait for better opportunities?" Soon, a weak and slightly hoarse female voice replied to Walter's inquiry. "It was the best opportunity. Only he returns to the manor. There's no knowing when he will come out again." But why would you be so seriously injured?" Walter said with a sight of concern. The female voice scoffed and said, "William Sykes is stronger than what you or I imagine. Perhaps only this way can he satisfy his secret identity. Regardless, I finally obtained clues after him. After so much time, I finally have a chance to approach the truth." "You didn't need to be so rash." Walter fell silent. The weak female's voice chuckled and said, "I've already sold my soul to an evil god. The only meaning to life is vengeance." In a rare instance, Walter sighed and said, "Continue hiding here. I'll prepare food for you until you recover. If there aren't any accidents, use the old method to contact me." The weak female voice remained silent for a while before saying, "When he was alive, he had many subordinates who claimed to be loyal. After his death, few still remember him or are willing to risk their lives for him. You are the one who has surprised me the most. He is the first noble who treated me that way, and he is the person I'm truly loyal to." Walter answered in a deep voice, having heard the conversation with his marionette. Klein vaguely understood the entire story. After Prince Edisac passed away, a few of his loyal subordinates were investigating the truth of his suicide. Walter was one of them. However, he was mainly in charge of gathering any superficial intelligence, as well as using his identity to provide some help. This is probably the additional development that Rhodes mentioned. Klein immediately made Senior go invisible as he infiltrated the secluded passage Anne saw Walter conversing with some while standing. His figure blocked a black-dressed woman who was seated on the ground against the wall. Her face was somewhat pale. After the woman heard Walter's words, she gave a throaty laugh and looked towards the entrance. "It's time you leave. Don't be caught by others." She turned her head, allowing Klein to see her. She had a round face, slender eyes, and gentle and refined temperament. Deep down, she was sweet and was an outstandingly gorgeous beauty who Klein was familiar with. Trissy cheek. Shut up. No way, she back. She back. She back. She back. She back. Oh my god. Okay, she isn't dead. She managed to escape. She's actually trying to seek revenge for Prince Edisag. At that moment that he saw Trissy, Klein nearly lost control of his expressions. Although he had guessed it based on the conversation, he still felt it exceeded his expectations when the truth was placed before him. Without even the need for dream divination, he could still recall the great smog of Backlund. Trissy had conversed with him that back then she was eager to escape Prince Edisag's control and escape the manipulation of her fate by the hidden person behind the screens. She felt her daily life was filled with pain. This demoness, who was once a man, had sold her soul to an evil god to help avenge Prince Edisag. What kind of crappy, trite romance plot point is this? The corners of Klein's mouth twitched as he saw Walter throw a bag of food at Trissy. After hearing him give a few words of advice, he turned and left the secluded path. At this moment, a figure appeared from a member of Parliament Match's house. It was within Klein's line of sight from where he was standing. It followed the shadows of the street as it quickly approached the entrance to the sewers. It was none other than Hazel, who had a mystical item for the marauder pathway. She'll encounter Walter. This isn't some entrance to the sewers, it's clearly an entrance to a bustling city. Klein looked down and nearly facepalmed. Upon arriving at the manhole, Hazel warily observed her surroundings for a few seconds before moving the cover away and climbing down. The entire process was done in one fell swoop, without any signs of delay. Sweeping into the slightly moist ground, she followed the Russell Meadow pipes and sewage that slowly flowed with a clear destination in mind. Suddenly she felt her back turn cold and a chill ran down her spine. Her hair began to stand on its end. Right on the heels of that, Hazel seemed to plunge into freezing river, and she felt the coldness that was overcoming her body. She was horrified to see herself walking in a different direction, heading straight for the wall with metal pipes. And this was completely against her will. Horror filled Hazel's mind before she received a reprieve from her numb thoughts. She infused all her spirituality into her necklace on her neck. The 7 green gems on the necklace were equidistant from each other. Embedded around them were tiny diamonds with the absolute darkness. They still swirled the faint, luxurious glow. Silently, a gem lit up the green glow, illuminated Hazel's ghastly face. She leaned against the wall and paused for a moment. She moved her feet forward in an awkward manner before retracting them. At an instant, the coldness Hazel felt had paused for a moment. She didn't hesitate to use her spirituality to light up another green gem. She raised her right hand and aimed it at herself. The twist in her wrist at the same time, many mysterious symbols and patterns appeared in her mind as her spirituality and voice changed momentarily. She had stolen the beyond her power, writhe, shriek. Hazel was just about to open her mouth and shout when she found her hand losing control again. She forcefully and quickly covered her mouth with her hand. Her shriek turned into a muffled as she took a few brisk steps to the wall. She turned into another fork before crouching down in the pure darkness. She tried hard to struggle, but it was useless. She wasn't even capable of achieving the necklace on her neck. Hazel's dark brown eyes widened. She filled with horror and indigestion. Tears began to well in her eyes before slowly streaming down her cheeks. At this moment, Walter had come out of another path, returning back to the sewer entrance before climbing up agilely. After he snuck back into 160 Boakland Street, Hazel suddenly regained control of her body. She felt that the coldness had completely disappeared. She felt raised her hands in surprise, using her night vision to take a glance. Following that, she looked around and flustered, as though there were countless unknown monsters hidden in the darkness of the sewer. Hazel immediately touched the necklace on her right hand, carefully stood up, and headed for the entrance. She didn't flee in panic, but she instead warily prepared for any attack that would appear from the darkness. Finally, she returned to Bokeland Street, where she saw the black street lamp emanating its light, illuminating the streets that still had their remnant sights of rain. Only then did Hazel speed up her pace and run home. Midway, she suddenly turned back, nervously and frantically closing the manhole cover. After doing all this, she followed the shadows and entered her garden. With the help of the gas and water pipe, she entered the balcony of her bedroom. Only at that point did she really have any room to think. She widened her eyes and subconsciously looked around. Slowing, her body began to tremble. She raised her left arm, hoping to use her clothes to wipe her face, but she paused midway, switching to use her handkerchief from her pocket. Hazel still has the basic abilities needed to react. She's not a complete newbie. In the sewers, Senior appeared with his dark red coat and triangular hat as he spoke silently. Following that, under Klein's control, he went irreversible again as he entered the hidden fort where Trissy was. Just as a wraith approached, the black-dressed Trissy looked up and revealed the weak but stubborn smile. From the look of it, you have no ill intentions. That lady was quite lucky. She had sensed Hazel and discovered the wraith. Senior's figure appeared as he chuckled. Perhaps killing her will only bring you greater trouble. To be honest, he wished to report Trissy to the authorities because he knew of a lesser deed she had done. He knew how she had incited the passengers and crew on the Alfalfa, causing them to kill each other out at sea. He also knew how she had many innocent lives die ahead of time. However, after realizing that Trissy was investigating the mystery behind Prince Edisac's death, Klein had a new plan in mind. He would incite the demoness to cooperate with her on certain matters. The mystery of Prince Edisac's death was equivalent to the truth of the Great Smog of Backland. Investigating the matter is bound to be very dangerous. Roping others in will make me feel guilty, afraid that harm or even death will happen to them as a result. By getting Trissy to do it, I wouldn't have such a psychological burden. The crime she had committed had long doomed her to hell. The only problem is that she might be using the investigation of the mystery to Prince Edisac's death for her own ploys. I have to be wary about this to prevent myself from being used, thus causing a disaster. As Klein thought he made Senior take 2 steps forward, Trissy looked at the middle-aged before her and chuckled. Since you have ill intentions, go ahead, Mr. Senior. At the instant, the marionette sense relieved, countless threads floating and flailing around Trissy, and seated in the middle was her black dress. With a pale face, it resembled the spider in the middle of the web, but it was filled with temptation and pity that made one approach her. You know me, the marionette halted its footsteps. Trissy's expression was somewhat adrift as she answered in Revere. I once spent an unforgettable period of time at sea. Back then you were still a man. Klein lampooned and chuckled. Why are you investigating Prince Edisac's death? Did he commit suicide? Trissy immediately looked up as anger colored her face. Suicides can be different. Some people do it willingly, others are forced. No way she really seems to mind Prince Edisac's death. Lady, have you forgotten that you were once a man? Have you forgotten the pain that you were previously talking about? Don't tell me that this is so-called Stockholm Syndrome, where you end up bonding with your captor due to the minute amount of kindness they provided. Well, I'm not a specter in my death. What the fuck? Here's the thing. It's not that I think that, Trissy has Stockholm Syndrome, but the switch up is kind of crazy. From, not caring about him to now, trying to find his murderer and stuff, which I do just find interesting, I guess, you know? I do think it is interesting that she is, trying to do that. That's what I was wondering with it. Also, I am curious. So, you know how they were talking about, the whole thing with, oh, now I'm forgetting. The whole thing with, I guess it kind of is, you only, recognize it, the value once it's gone. But, I don't know. I don't know. You know? So you believe Prince Edisac was forced to commit suicide. You sought William Sykes to investigate the matter. The angry look on Trissie's face vanished as her miserable but beautiful smile appeared. That's right. It was he who forced Edisac to commit suicide with spirituality obliterated and bullet. However, he was also under orders by others to obtain the final bit of pleasure. He revealed everything. He was still unable to really touch me. I even showed him my former photo. He died filled with more... Do you think it's just maybe guilt? Even more misery and despair. I can't imagine what William suffered. Trissie is as twisted as she was before. Demoness at that stage of pleasure are really filled with charms. Every expression and every action are filled with enticement, but I can tell you that Trissie already reined it in very well, only using what she needed. She had already advanced, or is it because of love? Was Klein lampooned to make the senior ask? As Klein lampooned, he made senior ask, who is it? When asking the question, Klein had expected to receive an answer, but Trissie chuckled and replied, Viscount Stratford, the royal guard captain of the royal family. Making use. Viscount Stratford, royal guard, captain of the royal family. No, like, here's the thing. Trissie is, like, has not ever been able to catch a break. And I will say that, like, she has not been able to catch a break in a hot minute. But she did kind of, like, make sure that Edisac's death was worse than it had to be, you know? Viscount Stratford, royal guard, captain of the royal family. From this post, the great smog of Backlands does have inklings for a particular royal family faction being behind it. As for one who it is, it will require investigation. Klein temporarily didn't have the time to verify Trissie's answer, so all he did was make senior scoff. I'm a little doubtful since you're telling me this is so easily, Trissie said with a scoffing and self-deprecating manner. It's because it's something good for me. I can tell that you and the factions you represent are very interesting and are true motives, and those pulling the strings of the royal family. I would be very happy if I can provide something useful clues that cause... Sal! Look who's here, everybody! You have conflict with them, causing the real conspirer to surface. This will aid in my revenge. It can also be the greatest help to me. According to this logic, your comment got censored, by the way. Investigate the matter, the fish out of the mastermind behind this. From that, I can allow my faction to hide in safety before it obtains an actual information. Wasn't what Trissie said meant to entice... entice me to engage in limited cooperation with her, while she also volunteers to be the mind clearer in order to reveal the truth. She is clearly expressing her value. Oh, I changed it next. Okay. She's afraid that I'll eventually decide to kill her. Klein roughly understood what Trissie was truly getting at as she controlled the wraith to say, very reasonable, you should also do the same. I believe that without any threats or enticement, you'll attempt to make contact with Viscount Stratford after you recover from your wounds. Trissie curled her lips and said, my only hope that he doesn't like me. Okay. No, that's not what it says. Trissie curled her lips and said, I only hope that she doesn't like, or not she, that he doesn't like men. There isn't something that cannot be resolved. If you're already sequence 5, then you can consider switching to the Hunter pathway, sequence 4, Iron-Blooded Knight. Also, you have forgotten your past self. Why are you getting used to the powers of a demoness of pleasure to deal with men? Klein lampooned before making Senior smile. This isn't a problem. You can always show him your old photo. Trissie was taken aback as she slightly twisted expression colored her face. A humiliation that she had buried deep inside her had been dug out, exposing it beneath the sun. Her beautiful eyes were tainted with what stemmed from anger and humiliation. Her face was pale due to injuries instantly flushed red. Trissy quickly reined in her emotions and scoffed, speaking with a suppressed voice. As expected of Admiral Blood, it appears you know plenty about the Demoness pathway. She wasn't sure before. I made the joke because I thought the Demoness sect and the Rose School of Thought had worked together, making her believe that Admiral Blood would know the secret of the Assassin's pathway. Regardless, it's not nice mocking the gender of others. Facts. This is in line with Admiral Blood's persona. The marionette's principle is remember that every marionette has its own setting. The reason why Trissy had mentioned her past photo was apparently just to vent and grind off the enemy's joy and excitement. She wasn't talking... What? What's happening? Okay. First off, Sal, nobody asked your opinion. Second off, happy birthday, Merlin. Might be able to provide you with some help during the investigation of Viscount Stratford. Trissy reached... 21 is not old. You're literally a child. 21 is so young. So young. Trissy reached her hand towards the ear and grabbed a glint of smooth, wraithen black hair. Then blue ice formed. I'm not that unk, guys. I'm like... Bro, I'm early mid-20s. I'm not even that old. Then blue ice formed, allowing her to crack it off. She then spread out her palms, allowing a silent pitch-black flame to appear, burning her hair to ash. These ashes weren't lit up by the cold winds. My birthday's October 9th. In the sewers, but they had shrunk, forming a skinny black object, smeared smear it uniformly over a mirror, and then I'll know that you're looking for me. I'll subsequently use the mirror to communicate with you. Trissy shook her wrists and threw the black pastry. 2000. Also, October 9th is a great day for a birthday. First off, 9 is the best number. Second off, October is the best month. So I have the best number and the best month put together. As Senior was only a marionette, Klein was worried about letting him grab the black sparky object after taking a few looks as he stuffed it into his pocket. Trissy fell silent for a few seconds before biting her lip. If you need help, how do I contact you? That's a problem. Klein didn't wish to have her directly contact Miss Messenger, Renette Tinker after all. Trissy would later know that behind the wraith was Garamond Sparrow as she gathered her news about Admiral Blood. This wasn't something that could be hidden. After a few seconds of consideration, he decided to be a little bit more cautious. He decided to wait until Trissy had substantially discoveries before changing the communication method. After all, she isn't something to be trusted. To avenge Prince Adisak, some of her feelings are real, but they likely include some other gods. For example, seeking revenge for herself. Klein made Senior survey the area and said, "These sewers are plenty of secrets. I'll come often. You can leave help you need You can leave the help you need in text from here. If the matter is urgent, preventing you from doing it in time, or contact that person from before getting to leave the message." Just slowly nodded. With the conversation almost done, Klein planned on letting his marionette Senior leave. At that moment, he caught sight of Trissy's hands. He discovered that the sapphire ring, which was equivalent to a grade 0 sealed artifact, was gone. I noticed it just now, but I thought she had switched it to her other hand or other fingers. But it's actually gone. From the look of it, she paid the considerable price back when she escaped Prince Edisac. Red Rose Manor and escaped in Sangwell 0-08 controlled the mark that the Prince Edisac left on her, has also vanished. Klein thought for a moment before getting Senior to laugh. One more thing, which evil god did you sell your soul to? Trissy gave the middle-aged man a deep look. The primordial demoness. Okay. Weren't you trying to escape from that strange state? Didn't you feel that you were increasingly becoming less like yourself? Why did you backtrack? Don't you know that by changing your name to Trissy Cheek, they were trying to make you the primordial demoness's vessel? Not. No, she might not really not. She might. No, she might really not know. She might not even know what cheek means. She didn't have her best to escape her fate, only to plunge deeper into it. At that insane, Klein felt a baffling fear towards fate and deities. He had made Senior smile. It's hard for me to believe it with you replying so easily to my questions and my qualms. Bye, Merlin. Have a good birthday. Happy birthday. Trissy's eyes and slight tinge of confusion as she said in a self-deprecating manner, that's because it's a problem for me, not a secret. With one more person knowing, there might be one more chance of solutions presenting itself. Even if the characters are slim, it's better than nothing. While solving the problem, there's also a high chance that you'll be finished. Klein didn't continue the topic as he said after some thought, when you approach Viscount Stratford and the mastermind behind all of this, take notes of any coincidences that often happen around you. The deeper the investigation into the Great Smog of Backland is, the more likely it will gain the attention of Insane Will and 0-08. Coincidences? Trissy was taken aback as she repeated the words. At the instant, she recalled all the coincidences she had encountered at the Red Rose Manor. Amidst her thoughts, she suddenly looked up, only to realize Admiral of Blood Sr. had vanished. The next morning, Klein woke up punctually, and with the assistance of Richardson, he wore his coat. Just as he arrived in the dining hall, he saw Walter standing by the door, politely awaiting his arrival. Sir, your schedule for today is to participate in a tea session with a member of Parliament Match's residents. Walter professionally reminded his employer. He was stern, old-fashioned, and conscientious. He looked no different from his usual self, making it impossible to tell that he had headed for the sewers in the middle of the night. Klein nodded with a smile as though nothing had happened. I haven't forgotten. He then entered the dining hall and enjoyed the exquisite meal that had started showing signs of being repetitive. There's not enough variety for breakfast. Klein focused on eating, and after he was done, he put down his cutlery and sighed. I miss my hometown a little. Get the cook to prepare some desi pie tomorrow. Yes, sir, I should have thought of that earlier. Housekeeper Tenia replied apologetically. Klein waved his hand in a gesture for her not to take it in heart before he headed to the garden for a stroll. After doing all of this, he returned to the third story to continue reading the paper. He hadn't finished until his etiquette teacher, Wahana, arrived. Wahana, still dressed in a decently with an elegant bearing, she smiled at Dwayne Dantes and said, heard you would be heading to Mam Rihanna's place for high tea later today. Then this lesson will be focused on high tea. Klein maintained a smile as he listened attentively, asking questions from time to time. About 30 minutes later, Walter knocked on the door and entered. Sir, a member of Parliament Match's servants just came over to inform us that high tea session has been cancelled because Mamriana's daughter, Miss Hazel, is sick. She's very apologetic for that, and she wished to invite you again next week. Hazel is sick as a result of last night's fright. It's not impossible if it's an ordinary person, but a beyonder has their physical qualities enhanced. The chances of this happening are very low. Furthermore, Hazel clearly hasn't seen the change that resulted from the loss of control brought about by potions. Her mental state is still well, allowing her to feel a sense of superiority and having no fear. Even if she was frightened, it wouldn't result in any psychological ailments. Ailment sequence 5 of the demoness pathway can make people around them get infected with ailments. Last night, Trissy secretly released her ailment after seeing a stranger into the sewers, and as a Wraith Senior wasn't affected, so it didn't discover it. Since a problem isn't too serious, Hazel didn't spend much time in the area for too long. She just a little shaken, preventing her from recovering quickly. From the look of it, Trissy has really advanced to Sequence 5. Klein nodded gently and said, please give Miss Hazel my regards. Okay. Music change time. Music change time. Was I supposed to do it at the beginning of this episode? I feel like I was supposed to do it at the beginning of this chapter. I'll wait. Not right now. Follow that. He turned to the side. Okay. Sounds good. You lied to me, but that's okay. Without the high tea session, Klein decided to pray at St. Samuel Cathedral so as to show his devoutness. When am I supposed to stop again? Following that, it's like 5 okay. At high tea session, Klein decided to pray at St. Samuel Cathedral so as to show his devoutness. Of course, he didn't forget to stop and admire the white pigeons on the square, allowing himself to appear leisurely and calm. He entered the cathedral, passing through the murals only illuminated by the sun from high above the arriving in the dark deep brown. The place wasn't gorgeously decorated like the other churches that had all kinds of dazzling, elegant tastes that produced a visual impact. Instead, it was mild and peaceful, allowing one to feel the natural sense of tranquility. As for the pure light that resembled twinkling stars up ahead, they weren't filled with intense solemnness or holiness. Klein removed his hat and handed it to Richardson along with his cane. Then he walked down the aisle. At that moment, two figures stood up and from the pew and turned around to the entrance. One of them was the black-haired, green-eyed Leonard Mitchell. They keep running into each other. They keep almost meeting up. Also saw the middle-aged Leonard, who looked suave with his untidy hair. Almost at the same moment, Leonard Mitchell also saw the middle-aged man with his white sideburns and deep blue eyes, Dwayne Dantes. He tensed up momentarily as his body showed signs of indiscernible stiffness. Klein gave Leonard a side look as he nodded with a smile and a friendly, casual expression. Leonard forced a smile as he nodded slightly in a sluggish manner. Following that, he turned aside and made his way to brush shoulders with Dwayne Dantes. I will stop because this is where I'm supposed to stop. I'll wait. No. We don't have to do this. Leonard forced a smile as he nodded in slightly sluggish manner. Following that, he turned to the side, made way, and brushed shoulders with Dwayne Dantes. No, I really don't want to, guys. I really don't want to. How about, we don't. This made Klein see who the person was behind him. It was also someone he knew. Dally, who was wearing a spirit medium's black robe. The lady still wore blue eyeshadow and blush, presenting quite an uncanny sense of beauty. Dally glanced at the middle-aged gentleman when her expression suddenly went adrift. She retracted her gaze as she suddenly approached the exit. No way, I was just mimicking... No! Mimicking Captain's profound eyes. Even the color is different, yet Ma'am Dally could still find it familiar. Is that who he based Dwayne Dantes off of? Find it familiar. A woman's intuition is truly terrifying. Klein had a vague guess when he noticed Dally's brief abnormality. Oh my fucking no, because I might actually cry now. No. A long time ago, as an insensitive man, he believed that Ma'am Dally was secretly in love with Captain. Otherwise, she wouldn't have endured the risk to rush to Tingen to get Klein to find an opportunity to teach the acting method to Dunn. As for Captain, Klein wasn't sure about his thoughts. After all, Dunn Smith at that moment was often able to distinguish reality from dream. His bad memory was rather... I don't want to talk about him. Was rather pronounced, and he might unknowingly have forgotten certain things that lay at the bottom of his heart. I wonder if Cuttlefish had someone in his family who suffered from dementia, and that's where he got the inspiration for Captain Dunn and like what he went through and stuff. However, Captain often mentions Ma'am Dally, using her as an example to educate us. He was so familiar with how many years she took to advance and the kind of talent she had that it seemed like he had memorized it. Yes, whenever Captain mentioned these matters, he would occasionally add that he had spent 9 years going from midnight poet to nightmare. Could it be that he was feeling a little inferior when facing Ma'am Dally? Inferior? Klein recalled the past as his mood suddenly felt dampened. He realized that he didn't really understand Dunn Smith. I miss him so much. He didn't understand how many things the man had hidden inwardly. And Ma'am Dally isn't much younger than him. She appears to be very open and doesn't care about marriage. Klein suddenly sighed and reined in his thoughts. He found a nearby pew and bowed his head, closing his eyes to pray. Outside the prayer hall, Leonard had recovered, and as he gathered with the other Red Gloves teammates with Dally, they waited for a while at SOS, who had become a spirit warlock. Walked out of another side, he scanned them and said, "Our mission this time is to use the various clues discovered from the explosion of the Black Skeleton Gang." I don't... That was so fucking upsetting. No. Here's the thing, I'm so fucking scared right now. We're talking a lot about Captain Smith. Like a lot about Captain Smith in this volume. I've almost cried twice just from like him being briefly fucking mentioned. Does something happen? Like, does Dally or like Leonard die? I know it's done, and like I know it's like, okay, Captain Dunsmith, whatever. I'm like, does he die? Does like Leonard or Dally die? And then it just adds to the list. And that's why we're thinking so much of like old Neil and Dunsmith and like all of this. I'm so scared. No, because here's the thing. I don't think I would be okay if one of them died. I mean, I feel like Klein becoming an anti-hero would be kind of cool, but... They waited for a while as SOS, who had become a... They waited for a while as SOS to become a spirit warlock walked out from another side. He scanned all of them. Our mission this time is to use the various clues discovered by the explosion of the Black Skeleton Gang's headquarters to find all the former members of the Numinous Episcopate in Backland. Ma'am Dally is beyond her from the Corpse Collector pathway. She knows quite a bit about the Numinous Episcopate, so His Grace St. Anthony has gotten her to assist us. In the evening, Klein, who had dismissed Richardson, took 4 steps counterclockwise and entered above the great fog. He conjured the word Gammon Sparrow and made his blurry figure pray. Please inform Miss Magician that she needs to reserve a hotel room before Friday night. It's best that it's far away from the place where Mr. X holds the gatherings. Pass me the stone and spellbook ahead of time, and I need to make certain preparations. On Friday night, she needs to stop her friend who participates in Mr. X's gathering and also present to me that personal external appearance when in disguise. If there's anything else, I'll inform her in time. With only 2 days left before the assassination attempt on Mr. X, Klein undoubtedly needed to prepare ahead of time. And there were many things that needed preparation. Dwayne Dantes wasn't able to do everything, so he had relied on Miss Magician. His preliminary plan was to use the powers of the Faceless to disguise himself and a participant in Mr. X's gathering. He would enter directly in the passcode, and then he would employ different plans based on the situation. According to the experience, he had engaged in combat and control his marionette. Klein had a feeling that Marionette's principles was try to hide behind the scenes, covertly describing a script. Unless necessary, Marionettis has to avoid engaging in direct combat with others. Currently, the most troublesome point is that Mr. X's gathering is at 8, and usually at that time Dwayne Dantes clearly would have fallen asleep. He won't be able to escape the notice of his butler and servants and secretly head to Eastborough. Of course, on the contrary, it can also create an alibi, but the problem is that the method should be used to fool everyone in the house. If only I had a faceless partner who can act as Dwayne Dantes. Miss Justice's necklace can do it, but she's not in Backland. Klein leaned back. Can't he use a shadow puppet? Not a shadow puppet. Just put like one of his little paper figurines in the bed and just be like, hey, I'm going to bed early. Nobody disturb me. Klein leaned back into his chair and rubbed his temples. He had even considered directly summoning and responding to himself using his identity as Hero Bandit Black Emperor to carry out the operation, but doing so would cause him to lose the ability to change his physical appearance. It also made it difficult for him to possess others in disguise as Four's friends and participate in the gathering. Unless Miss Justice's friend is part of this, allowing me to process him or her, that would do either. First, it will expose some of the Tarot Club's secret, and second, Mr. X might have the means to discover a wraith. Of course, traces like this can be concealed using a series of seals and gold coins. The paper angel or the iron scar case, Klein considered for a while before deciding on methods. He had very proficient from his previous life. Fraying sickness. I'll be acting sick tomorrow. I'll eat very little and sleep before 8. This way the butler and servants won't disturb me. But if there's an emergency, what do I do when Walter and company knock on the door? A magician's illusion creating can only fool the eyes. It isn't some artificial intelligence. Official intelligence, right? I can fix the illusion into a mirror, letting it look like Dwayne Dantes. Then I'll get the Rhodes to answer remotely with this in mind. Klein's thoughts suddenly opened up. I have to say that Rhodes can be quite useful at times. After a poignant comment, Klein returned to the real world. He walked out of the desk, took out a pen and paper, and began drawing the picture, comprised of symbols implying concealment and mystery praying. Just as he finished the final stroke, the room's light dimmed, and the full-body mirror first turned deep black before silver light surfaced. Lowanese text appeared one after another. Great Master, your loyal and humble servant Rhodes heard your summoning. Was I late? Such a simp. But I love a Rhodes for it. I feel like that's the only one who can actually get away with being a simp. And I'll cheer them on. There's something new every time. Klein shook his head in amusement. No, how tolerant are you? How tolerant you are of me, Great Master. You can ask your question. Words nearly appear on the mirror. Klein thought for a moment before saying, I plan on eliminating the Aurora Order. Oracle Mr. X, do you have any suggestions? The full-body mirror's words froze for a few seconds before changing. It's best you do it after Thursday. It's in line with my divination. Angel Fane Aurora Boris, the Saint of Aurora Order, might be around Mr. X tonight or on Thursday. Klein smiled and said, Rhodes, I have something that requires your help. This is my honor. You are giving me an opportunity. Words quickly emerged, fully professing what it meant to be excited and delighted. May I ask what the mission is? Klein nodded and said, this Friday night, I will be using a mirror as an illusory prop, challenging it to look like a present identity. If any emergencies happen, you're in charge of controlling the mirror to answer without letting anyone discover my abnormalities. Can you do it? The air around the full-body mirror suddenly gushed around, and a tony voice belonging to Dwayne Dantes sounded, Great Master, I'll try my best to complete anything at your command. Although I won't be able to last long and it doesn't match my usual habits, it's enough to deal with everyone here. If you wish, I can simulate any voice. You're more talented than I expected. It's not easy being a mirror these days. However, why does this final statement sound odd? Klein's facial muscles trembled as he said, when dealing with them, hide the nature of the questions and answer game. Don't let others notice it. Rhodes immediately presented a new sentence on the full-body mirror. I will play your identity well. Very good, Klein nodded. He was truly worried that Rhodes would begin asking Butler Walter and Valet Richardson embarrassing questions. Questions like, have you fantasized about ladies and would... have you fantasized about ladies and shouldn't have any urges for? Or, who do you think of late at night when resolving your physical needs? He believed that with the magic mirror's way of doing things, it might very well carry out such an act without any forewarning. Back then, Donitz nearly broke down thanks to his questions. Without speaking any further, Klein switched to saying, that will be all for tonight. I'll contact you again on Friday night. Yes, great. Master, your humble servant already looks forward to serving you. Rhodes finally conjured a single line before producing a drawing of a hand waving. And I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for traumatizing me again. That song officially gives me I get flashbacks to Nam every time we change over to that song. I really don't like it. But that's all I got for you guys today. It was just a bit of a shorter one today, but we got through the chapters. And tomorrow will do review and all the clips and do that. And then on Monday, we'll be back. It's not the last time I play it. Awesome! 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 Yeah! I'm so excited for that song to play again. Fucking traumatize me every single time. Anyway, thanks so much for joining. I'll see you guys next time. I'll see you guys on Monday, and I'll post everything. No stream tomorrow, no stream on Sundays, but video on Sunday. Finally, Volume 3 review on Sunday. So that's also a bonus. But we will stream on Monday. So yeah. Okay, bye-bye. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful night.